Jonesy, I'm now officially, I don't know what type of celebrity you call it, but I'm pressing flesh with, I'd say, B to C grade celebrities.
Define B and C grade, because like if A grade, we're talking like Brad Pitt's, Taylor Swift's, Harry Styles. If that's A grade, then B grade's like still pretty high standard.
I stand by it.
Okay. So talk me through this.
I was at a wedding yesterday, Drifters, one of the great weddings of all time. And, you know, beautiful ceremony. It's been a long time coming for this couple. Engaged 5 years ago. They first got together in 2009. So,
Shit.
You know, it was no shock that the wedding was taking place, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But, you know, going through the ceremony, I'm like, I see this silver-haired man. I was like, is that who I think it is? And then get to the ceremony and they're going through, like, the MC duties as you are. And it's none other than Ian Dicko Dixon.
Ian Dicko Dixon.
Of Dicko fame.
Of the bloke who wasn't doing the touchdowns on Australian Idol type operator.
Yeah. So
No way.
He was phenomenal.
Was he?
Yeah. And I was actually looking him up. I was like, what's Ian Dicko Dixon doing in Brisbane? But he lives at the Sunshine Coast.
Oh, does he?
Yeah. So he was doing he had a, like, this is the house rules, right? So imagine I'm Dicko. He's like talking really strongly into the microphone, got some glasses on, had a really short back and sides operation. The complete opposite of him early days on Australian Idol.
Yeah, with the frolicking locks.
Yeah. But he's going through the house rules and he's like, all right, smokers, you need to go out in the smoking area. And that includes all of you using vapes or how I like to call them, douche whistles.
Douche whistles.
Douche whistles. No loitering at the venue. And then for Ubers, it's like you have to wait inside the building until like the
actual driver's there. Yeah. Okay.
And he was like, he's like, I can tell you this for free, ladies and gentlemen, that I will not be obeying those last two rules. I'm going to be loitering outside waiting for my Uber. So, Ian Dicko Dixon of Dicko fame was fantastic, mate.
Where were you? So he, so he's really gone from one of the Australian Idol judges to being the MC at a wedding. So you two are effectively on par now.
Yeah.
you're at Dicko levels of fame.
Yeah, so he's started up here, right? And you could argue he's probably gone, you know, I'd say MC at a wedding's probably not as big as the lofty heights of Australian Idol. So
probably not, no.
So what you're saying is that because I've just MC'd a wedding, that my next step up could be Australian Idol's coming back.
Mate, Australian Idol's back.
So it's interesting stuff. All right. 2 more things I want to talk about from this wedding, right?
Yeah.
So they had, you'd know this well. There was like a little photo section, right? So you get a photo with your significant other or otherwise, group of friends maybe, and you get the photos, you stick them in the book and you write a message.
Yeah.
My sister and I and my mum got one together. And Prue's like, oh, we should get one. I'm like, yep, easy. Get that. Prue, because I wrote out the message for my sister and my mum.
Yeah.
So Prue's like, I'm like, oh, you can write out the message. Anyway, she started writing and she wrote congratulations in capital letters, but she was there like looking at it for about 10 seconds. And then I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, I spelled it wrong. And then in the middle of the word, she put a J. Congratulations. I'm like, you've had a shocker.
No. No.
Absolute stinker.
Was she...
I left her after that.
Was she slizzard?
No, she wasn't. So I haven't actually followed up with her about that.
Yeah, you guys need to have a conversation about that.
It's like, what was wrong with you?
Yeah.
What were you thinking? And I'm by no means a solid speller, but I know a J doesn't belong in that word.
Yeah. Prue, when did you become lexic of the dis variety? When did that happen?
It was it's bloody funny. The final thing, right? Sitting next to my sister Sarah, and she gets the hiccups. Now, do you have a foolproof hiccup cure?
I do, and it works every time, 60% of the time, every time. I just hold my breath, mate, and you just got to persevere and count down from like a real slow 30, and I reckon most of the time that gets rid of them.
Yeah, right. Okay. So I have a foolproof one.
Okay.
And it worked last night for Sarah, and she was shocked that this worked.
You would have felt like an absolute gentleman.
I was strutting
I was
around.
better than everyone. I'm better.
All right. Imagine this is a glass of water. Probably could have got a prop ready. So be it. So imagine this is a glass of water, right? So you usually drink it like that. Makes sense, right?
That makes a lot of sense.
But what you do is you bend over and you drink it upside down, and you drink it from the front of the glass like that instead of like that. So you do that, and because there's so much going on, you trick your brain to stop going like, oh, the hiccups are the least of my concern right now.
These hiccups have paled into insignificance.
And mate,
Trying to drink a glass of water upside down.
yeah, and from the opposite side, it works every single time. Give it a go.
Give it a go, drifters. If you have one of those, I don't know, situations where a colleague or a significant other gets the hiccups, we've sorted you out, or Hutcho has. I might try that next time. But you know people who sometimes like panic when they get hiccups, and it's like, this is the end for me. I will never get rid of these ever again. It's like, hey, calm down. Calm down. I'm surprised that not everyone has a way in which that they can get rid of hiccups, which is semi-bulletproof.
Yes.
Like mine's like a Kevlar vest. You can still get your brains blown out when you're wearing a Kevlar vest, obviously. But there is some protection there. Whereas yours sounds like it's a full body suit.
Yeah, it is.
Full body Kevlar suit. Not even a little hole for your pee-pee.
No, you wee inside your suit. That's how it works. All right, mate, that's all I had to touch on. So, do we talk about a little bit of horse racing?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. So, let's start with the group one. And, mate, you know what? We made the mistake of backing the best horse in the race. That's the mistake that we made.
So you were on Bella Nipotina as well.
Yes. So we were both on Bella Nipotina. You also backed Zapateo.
Yeah, I was keen on her too.
I was also keen on passive aggressive. Now what I did notice, and because I had other engagements, what I did notice was when I was checking the app every now and then, the Neds app that is, this track conditions were getting downgraded throughout the day.
Yeah,
but there was
little showers.
Okay,
but
right.
for like 5-10 minutes, just
Yeah.
enough to
Right.
have the surface a bit wet.
Because
Yeah.
if I'd known that, I just would have taken Espiona straight out of my betting strategy. And to be fair, like, it was pretty dumb putting it in there on reflection at the 1,200 metres.
Yeah, yeah.
300 from home here. I'm like, gee, Bella Nipotina's coming into this beautifully, but Ruthless Dame on the outside. Nothing was beating her, I don't think.
Nah. Bella Nipotina was just a bit flat-footed. Like,
Yeah.
I fully expected her to go on with it and put them away there.
She's had a long prep, mate.
She has. So that's the excuse, which is fair enough. Yeah. I think that's a forgive for her. Zapateo, if you can see, Ollie on board. Shockwee doesn't have any luck in this race, just behind Bella Nipotina. If she got out earlier, I think she would have contested the line with Ruthless Dame. But it's not like
Dame's
she was
very strong here.
Yeah,
like last 100 metres.
She is. So she's not a sure thing beating Zapateo at all. But she ran well. Chain of Lightning bounced back. Clearly, she needs a bit of a wet deck.
Yeah. And Mare's Grade.
Yeah,
which
Mare's
is
Grade.
what we've been saying all prep. And I think I said on the preview, I was like, I think she's the best roughie in the field. And she ran an absolute bottler.
Yeah, but I think as well, from what we saw throughout the shit Adelaide card was with the rail out a little bit and the weather, they were sort of fanning out. So I think horses back on the inside are probably a little bit disadvantaged. Like I'm no track walking expert type of operator, but if you look at like passive aggressive on the inside, a couple others, they sort of the wheels were spinning a little bit. But Ruthless Dame, mate, she's a smart little filly, I think.
She is. And these 3-year-olds continue to stack up.
They're a good batch.
Unbelievable.
They're a good batch.
Really strong. Let's just touch on probably the second best race on the card, which was my screen.
The Queen of the South or the Tobin Bronze?
No, the Tobin Bronze.
Yeah, the Tobin Bronze. So I thought She Dances was a very good bet here. She was my best of the day, but got done by the Morphettville Mafias on top selection, of course. Royal Merchant. She was sort of... I don't know. She went pretty quick up front and she absorbed a bit of pressure and still found. So I think, she still had a lot of merit in the run, but Royal Merchant just had cover for most of the race and then got out at the right time and again came out sort of wider on the track. So I think that's where you wanted to be on the day.
Yeah, I was on Guineas with the yellow cap here entering the straight. This is the first time I'm watching this Drifters. So, Royal Merchant has been a hard one to find, but you know who did find her?
The Morphettville Mafia.
The Mafia. Oh, gee, that's tough. Oh, jeez. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the best of the day goes down by a Schnodder. Which, that's sort of underscored my day, mate. It was there or thereabouts day. I sort of picked one, missed the other, placing here, picked another one. So it wasn't a bad day, but it wasn't a fruitful day, I'd say.
The last race we'll look at Morphettville is the Queen of the South. So I think I was on Foxy Frida here, at least in the preview. I didn't have any of my dosh on her. She got pumped late.
Yeah, she got absolutely pumped, Foxy Frida.
Yeah.
I was on her too. I did have, I did mention Dynasties on the pod at a big price, but I just had the one bet on Foxy Frida. And if I was a Ned same race multi-type operator, which I'm not, but I can fully appreciate a same race multi through the Neds app. I probably would have done like a Dynasties top 4, Foxy Frida top 3 type bet, which wouldn't have come off anyway.
Now, Frida looks the winner here. Look how... You're right, they are fanning here.
Yeah.
And then it's just this thing back on the inside. Bang. Cast.
And she's another 3-year-old filly.
Jeez, what are we doing? Overthinking things,
Ben and JD Hayes. I think they had 2 winners on the day. It's almost like recently, if they've got one racing in Morphettville, just back it because it's probably going to win half the time.
Yeah. It was like that with Price Kent stable last year. They had an absolutely unbelievable Adelaide Carnival. Now, this was one race that I did see, and this was a very, very impressive win by Think About It.
Yeah, it was.
He's a smart horse, this thing.
He is lugging the top weight in this. Fashion Legend ended up running, so I had a little each way bet on him.
To no avail.
But yeah, think about it.
Mate, he could... It's interesting. Like, I'd have to go back and have a really big look at who he's actually beaten throughout his career to date. But I'd say he picked up a decent Group 3 win at the end of his first prep. And then he's kicked off in this listed grade against Shades of Rose, who's run in Everest. I'm not saying she's an Everest horse. Bacchanalia's like at that sort of grade, and he's a fit horse, mate. He's done that easy.
He did it easy, and if you rewatch the race, he's wide without cover for the entire race. So he could have put him away by more.
So, for a Stradbroke, would you prefer to be on the likes of him or the likes of, say, like a Valana? They're probably like
you got to wait
down in the handicap.
Yeah, you got to wait for the weights. I think Valana will probably end up lugging like a 55, whereas he will probably have like 52, maybe 53. So you got to look at the weights, but like all good Stradbrokes, it'll come down to barrier draw and it'll come down to luck in running. I'm probably leaning more towards a Valana at this stage because he just seems to me to be a genuine 1,400 metre horse. I think.
I agree.
At this stage.
I agree. So this is the coast, I believe, that we're looking at. Did you...
I backed Wellwall. You ran a nice third, I'm pretty sure. But on the line, it looked like about 10 of them ran third.
Yeah.
So we've been sacking off Karen McAvoy on this podcast for the last few months. He rides a treble on this day. That literally the week where I'm talking about his strike rate.
Yeah, and what he also does is gives a really nice nudge into the ribs of Pretty Amazing and just destroys her chances at the top of the straight.
Yeah, he does.
So who was my on top selection there? So have to forgive her. And the drop back to 1,600 probably didn't suit her either. The Gosford Gold Cup, so Esty Fenny, the Hungarian horse.
Yeah, God. Beats my on top selection, Navajo Peak. So, again, was one of those days. He just took way too long to wind up Navajo Peak round the outside. Without any cover for the entire trip. So a better ride probably would have helped, but I don't know if anything was beating this German thing.
Nah, I think it was weird because it was kind of like the Goldilocks run. Like everything just went right for it.
Yeah,
just peels out, probably the better part of the track on the day, and then just didn't even have to do much.
No,
all these behind him are very one paced.
Yeah,
so I think that Bois d'Argent, if it goes to Brisbane or something, could feature in a listed or a group race.
Yeah.
Desert Icon was slow.
He was slow. Add another placings to the book for yours truly.
Yep. All right. Now, let me just quickly get up Racing Queensland because there's a bit to talk about here.
There really is. Well, first of all, if you go into the race, which I think you are, the Bracelet. Yeah. Wolverine runs a really nice fourth. And I just think that might be the final nail in the coffin for her and I. But you picked the winner, which is good.
Mate, Renaissance woman. Now, early days when they're settling in the run, I'm like, third last is probably not the place to be. 6 back on the fence. Holy shit. This is going to have to be one of the best runs of all time to actually win this.
But the for the drifters who aren't from up here and don't bet on the Sunshine Coast, it's actually a really nice track, the Sunny Coast, really wide. So it tends to play pretty fair. Like, I'm not a Sunshine Coast expert, but I will be come next Sunday. But it tends to play pretty fair.
Yeah, barriers aren't like a huge concern. Like, basically, if you get a decent crack at it, you should have a chance. Like, and I think it's 400 meters from the very top of the straight, and so it's a very long straight. But I was licking my lips here. I was like, okay.
When you came up to Wolverine.
Yeah, I was like, okay, she's beaten off Wolverine.
And hadn't even really tried yet.
So, getting into her work now, then I was like, oh, what's that thing back on the inside? Get it, lift it, bang.
Bang.
Just gets over the top of it. So, no, nice win, mate. I think...
heading towards an Oaks?
Yeah, so I'd say you would see all of these in an Oaks, which would make sense to me.
Yep.
Now, that's about all I saw at the Sunshine Coast. So if we have a look at the rest of the races, the Ken Russell Memorial.
You probably only got 2 others really that you want to take a close look at, and that's the Magic Million, the Gold Coast Guineas on the Sunshine Coast, and the Hollindale, obviously. But
Well, all of these would be going towards a JJ anyway. So
yes,
I thought, actually, I did see this race. I thought Abounding was quite a good run.
Bully
On
head.
pace. Yeah, Cascadian style head. Then just gets run down late back on the inside.
Yeah, they're probably the only two.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's like if there's ding dong battle. Hard to say because there'll probably be something coming from somewhere late that will feature.
Yeah, something coming from down south. The horse that I was talking about on the podcast, I believe, Matches Salem, ran fourth at Gosford. Karen was on. Was 3 wide the entire trip, back of field. It was a bizarre run. And I think the stablemate won that race, so maybe one to follow. But
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's where Zugotcha debuted in Gosford, I'm pretty sure. But anyway,
well, there you go.
there you go.
This is the Gold Coast Guineas. I've not seen this at all, but Yellow Brick.
Yellow Brick, he was tough, mate.
Yeah.
Tough. Yeah, so certainly one to follow out of this, obviously. I think
He's 3 wide without cover on,
Yeah.
just off the pace there, isn't he?
yeah, he'll be going to a Stradbroke, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. So I think of the local hopes, he'll be one of the better chances in the Stradbroke. But yeah, look at him. He's just being ridden like he's the best horse. So he's about 4 wide, no cover, up on pace. And if you watch the other horses up on pace, here you're like, oh, but then he starts to wind up. And they're fading. And he's getting past them.
Yeah,
Really strong through the line too. So he's a good horse.
he's a good horse.
Yellow Brick. So certainly one to follow.
All right, and what we'll end on is the Hollindale. Now, I did see a replay of this. Is that 3 in a row for Zaki?
3 in a row, which is the first time anyone's ever done 3 in a row on the Hollindale.
And he's
or won
won.
it 3 times.
Takes his prize money to 10 million. Unbelievable.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. He was posted wide. He had to fight to get to the front, which I think the other jockeys in the race sort of obviously did tactically. He drew wide, Zaki. He hasn't had a lot of luck with barriers recently, actually. So J-Mac sort of weighs it up and thinks, okay, cool, well, I'm still going to try and give you some space because he likes to be like in that free-flowing stride and the high cruising speed, but I think it gives a bit more merit to his win because usually he likes to get out the front and dominate, whereas we've seen when he gets put in this situation in the past, he doesn't really like it and, can get run over the top of. But
I'm just fascinated about his early prep. So basically they put a line through him because, mate, he looked completely uninterested.
yeah, Annabelle Neesham came out during the week and said that he got some vaccinations because he was going to go to Hong Kong. I think that race that Mo O'Brien was in, what's it called? The one that
Golden Mile?
Yeah.
Champions Mile or something?
Yeah, whatever it's called. And apparently he just didn't have a great reaction to him. So, yeah.
Well, put it in human terms, whenever I get a vaccination, shock me, drifters, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. But I can be flat for about a week after. So,
And it being flat for a week for a horse in their prep is actually really bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's a massive setback. So, he was just tough to win. He was just tough to win there. So,
jeez. I reckon he could go back to back.
Hueta.
I've really liked his prep. I feel like he's one of those horses that just needs K's in the legs.
Yeah.
But through the line there, he was sensational.
Zyrek as well,
Yeah.
who you spoke about on the podcast, was good.
Yep. A Tissue, she finished 4th or 5th there.
Yeah.
Just way too far back.
Yeah, way too far back. Yeah, but we'll see. The Trumpet Cup should be a pretty strong addition this year. Obviously, the likes of Zyrek, Zaki, Weta. Apparently, Jewis is attacking it first up, and she's apparently she's back to normal after having a bone chip removed, or a floating bone or something like that.
Well, that was going to be my follow-up line of questioning. What was wrong with her?
Yeah, so she had a floating bone her entire prep that they didn't pick up on any scans until after the prep in the spring.
That can't possibly help.
Yeah, which was awesome considering I backed her like every start. So hopefully she's back to her best. So it should be a pretty smart addition of the team, 10,000, I think.
Love it. Lovely. Alrighty, mate. Well, I think that's all she wrote.
Yeah, that's all she wrote. Winter Carnival starts next week. Doom 10,000. Kick a kick. I think he'll prove hard to beat, Hutch.
I think so. I think so. And, you know, it's not the lofty heights and the lofty screens of Eagle Farm, but Doom and 10,000. It's a good way to kick off the carnival in Brisbane.
Hey, fond memories last year was like misty rain. And
well, they moved the meeting to Eagle Farm, didn't
they? They did. Because the track just drains like
it was a bloody good four by the time the race came around, and it was torrential rain.
It was so bizarre. But I tell you what, fond memories of our guy Marzu.
Yeah, we were better that day.
I was better.
Everyone
you were better.
was against him.
No,
Everyone.
No, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Everyone jumped off Marzu. He was never going to lose that race.
No.
Held off a fast finishing Paul Laley.
But not fast enough.
But not fast enough for our guy Marzu.
Yeah. All right. Goodbye, Drifters. We'll see you on Wednesday.